Hey everybody, this is the optimization groups iteration. Oh no, what are the dates for the iteration? I know it's ending on March 20th. Actually, it would be ending next morning. It's March 11th to March 24th for the digital experience optimization team. And I'll go over what I did for the last 2 weeks. Last week was our summit. So I was there for that week. And then it did take a little bit to kind of catch up and ramp back up. But what I did end up doing was a bunch of blog stuff. So I know there's an initiative now for about like first paint. And so we no longer lazy load hero images for the blog. So hopefully blog pages will load faster and we'll also get better Lighthouse scores. Another one, I implemented John's caching logic to the blog. So we should see a decrease in pipeline times in the blog. I'm estimating around 30 to 40 seconds. So I'm thinking we can eventually get under 3 minutes. This should take us 3 minutes. And then for code blocks in blog posts, the styling was always off. And so I worked with Sandra and we came up with a solution and found a styling, which may not be the prettiest, but it's an iteration forward. So it's better than it was before. And then it just got merged like 5 minutes ago, and that's now on the blog. When you hover over a header, the little, what's it called? Like the paperclip, the anchor icon shows up next to it. So you can copy it, copy the link, share it with people, and all that good stuff. And then yeah, continuing on localization. So that'll be a big thing next iteration. Sorry, my dog's whimpering. He wants to go outside. And then on Miracle, worked on I18N href iteration. So that was closed. And then one's in review, hoping to get it merged today, is the OneTrust cookie preferences text for California users. I'm going to review it and hopefully we can get that out today. And then next is Tiame.
Thank you. So this iteration, I had some bug fixes, not bug fixes, actually performance issues on the feature stage. So for example, when we were clicking on a link on the feature part, the feature block part, it was not taking to the right anchor, and this was fixed. We had a problem that the cards were not loading before the anchor was created, but now it's working. I also fixed some design issues on the security compliance page. So for example, the image on the header was not loading correctly. Yeah, that's it for me. And I'm going to pass to Trevor. Is that right?
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. So for me, this iteration, I was acting as a proxy for Tina for the conversion team to help get the new platform page over the finish line in terms of supporting with design QA. Outside of that, I've been continuing to work on a few confidential issues, which we've made great progress on. So can't speak about that just yet, but yeah, that's everything for me. I'll pass it over to John.
Thank you, Trevor. In my case, I implemented the caching feature from GitLab in our pipeline in Bio Experience. After I implemented this, our pipeline improved by 20%, more or less. So when we do not have to run the install job, we managed to save like 1 to 2 minutes in our pipelines. So right now we are using the cache dependencies from the pipeline. So we will only run that install job when our package.json changes. So most of the time we will use our cache modules, and that increases the time of the pipeline by a lot. 1 to 2 minutes. That is a great job. And then Nathan implemented this in the blog, and the blog is pretty fast right now. I did some bug fixes as well. One in the pricing page, in the FAQ section. The localized anchors were not working as expected, so I updated all these anchors in Contentful to fix this and a small MR. And also I did a fix in the blog, in the categories pages. The SEO team wants to update manually the title and description of these pages. So I added in Contentful the way to update the metadata of these pages from Contentful. That's it for me. Next one is Mateo.
Thank you, John. All right, so first, the not so good news, the target builds for Buyer Experience. I put a bunch of time into trying to get this to work well in Bar Experience, but unfortunately it didn't work as well as it did in the blog for a couple of reasons. So first, the build pages on a target build did get reduced a lot from 650 to around 150, but this only meant like a 30-second reduction of time in the pipeline at most. And when trying this in production, I realized that the target build also builds the static assets that we still have in the repository. And that means the file names will change so that the pages that were not changed by this build would not find the assets that they needed. So the images would break, the ones that are still in the repo. So yeah, that was unfortunate. We'll have to iterate on that, see if we can get it working. Then there was the 404s for the blog. Those got mostly solved. In the blog, we did not see any 404s since the pipeline change for the blog. And then we saw some yesterday, and it was somewhat expected because yesterday we were running a bunch of full builds instead of a single page build, and those still have the 404 problem. But they got greatly reduced since most of the pipelines in the blog are just the single page pipelines, which do not have this issue. Then I worked on the privacy statement updates. They were mostly changes in Contentful. And then there was an issue with the tables in those pages, just a visual bug. Fixed that. Also worked on moving the blog RSS feed over from the /blog URL that we had into the old just /atom.xml URL, which had the 6,000 followers from the previous blog. So that is there now. Then I did some updates in the Contentful logging job for Bar Experience. That was running on the test stage of the pipeline, which meant that if the pipeline failed in the build, it would not run since all the steps after build got canceled by the failed job. So now it runs in the first step of the pipeline, so we get the information regardless of the build succeeding or not. And I also enabled live previews for the events pages. That one is in review right now. And that's it for me. So, Filsa?
That was it. I don't have anything else. So
We still have to ask you every week.
every week I will. Very rarely have anything, but no, everything looks so great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the retro. Oh, don't leave. I ended meeting almost.